Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So you probably have heard changing your life in many different ways using energy work, maybe hypnosis, maybe even meditation. I'm sure you've heard of all of those. What if you could do them at the same time during a couple of sessions and completely transform your life? Well, we're going to talk about that right now. Michael Danielson joins us, and he is with, is it ICM right now? Or Instant Change right now?
It's ICM right now. It's the instant change method.
Gotcha.
But my website is ICM right now because you instant change right now.
Yes, ICMrightnow.com. And right now, we're going to talk about it. I'm blown away because of course, we've heard about the energy work, but very beneficial. Hypnosis. I had my first ever hypnosis treatment about 3 weeks ago, and game changer. I feel a total sense of calm from that. And then meditation. I'm not that great at it, but imagine combining all of those. This is exciting. And why have we not heard about the instant change method?
It is so new. It actually came out in 2019. The originator of this is named Daniel Weinstock. He's actually from Germany. That's why it's not known very much in the U.S. But he actually took 8 years to develop this. And he took the latest from quantum physics, neuroscience, meditation, and hypnosis. Because what he feels, he was actually a coach. And what he realized was you're only working in one section of your being. You're a complete being. You're not just a body. You have an energy body, you have your mind, and your body, the individual cells. And he realized that when he combined all of that, the change was instantaneous, and it was very long-lasting because you're working within the whole being. And that's why people sit there and read books. It doesn't work because you're only working in a conscious mind. You have to work in your whole being and replace that old information with the new information that you want and energy, and then that makes the change.
Fascinating. So when we talk about instant change, how fast are we talking?
We're talking about 3 20-minute sessions. The first session is a little longer because, as I'm sure you're aware, and your listeners are aware, we know what we don't want. We don't know what we do want. So actually figuring out what we do want is the longest part of the process because that's the information part of that. And when you combine that with the energy, that's what makes it so fast and effective. And sometimes it even happens in seconds because you put the information in there and it's there. And the old information cannot go in, all that negativity. So it really depends. Like I said, the first session is a little longer because it's getting people what people actually want. So that's why I actually ask people to write down about 3 to 5 sentences of what they do want. Which I know you might know a little bit about the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind can't think in negatives. So if you say that I don't want to be, for lack of better terms, overweight, or I don't want this, your mind says, oh, I do want that. The subconscious mind can't think of it. It does not see that don't. So,
yeah. This is mind-blowing. It really is, because I've been studying in the last year on my journey, the energy work, the hypnosis, even meditation, journaling, all these different things. But to have it combined, but how can it get done in those 3 20-minute sessions, give or take 20 minutes?
Sure. We call it the CDI process. It is you collect the new information, which is actually the most important step of that. That's why I actually put down 3 to 5 sentences of exactly how you want it to be. So your subconscious mind can work with the universal mind to make it happen. And then you also delete the old information, and then you inform your whole system. And when you inform your system with the new information and energy, the old negativity cannot come back because it's been replaced through your whole being. So, and I'd like to, if we possibly could later on, actually go through an actual process of it real quick to show you a little bit about it. But it works through the whole being, so you inform your system so your whole being knows what to go forward with. And also you connect it with God. Some people call it I am, they call it source. And when you work with your higher self, God, source, that makes the change instantaneously. It happens to your whole being, and that you just know that's who you are. And once you know who you are, you just go forward and go for it.
I have to tell you, this sounds too good to be true. And I know it is because we wouldn't be talking about it and you wouldn't be here with us, but right. It just, man, okay, how about questions? Here we go. When it comes to hypnosis, I've always heard that you need to want to make that change. You can't just, let's say you want to stop smoking. You can't just say, yeah, I'd like to, be cool, see what you can do for me. You need to really want to make that change. Same
Yes.
situation with the instant change method.
Yes. And it doesn't really rely on belief per se, but you have to have that strong energy pull. Because as you probably heard of the law of attraction, and people get it all kind of confused, that kind of plays into this as well, but it's really the law of vibration. You have to really want that energy and emotion, because everything that we do is for an emotional need. You crack it down to whatever you want to. You can say, I do it for this, I do that. You really do it for emotional need, and most of the time it's to be happy. That's what it is, no matter what you go for. So once you combine that energy, you do have to have the energy, and you do have to, this is something that you want, yes, you have to have that. That is very vital. But to
Hmm.
actually believe in a process, you don't need that because the process is going to work regardless. But you have to want that change. That is the most important thing. You are correct.
Can you give me some examples or one example where this has recently worked for somebody that you work with?
Absolutely. One of the biggest things that I work with is anxiety. And this gentleman that I work with, I won't go into details about who he is, but to keep his anonymity, he had very bad social anxiety, and he's actually a coach. And he was afraid to like show himself, and like he actually wouldn't look in the camera, things like this. And we actually did within the 3 sessions. And now you see him; he just goes on his Facebook. It's just like a total different change. That's why I call it transformation. It's not personal development; it's transformation. And that's the most recent success that I've had. And it took 3 sessions, and it really worked out. And with the instant change method, and you can actually go and research this, look on the website with the testimonials, it actually has a 98% success rate.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It
And
really is.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but there's thousands of testimonials out there, though. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So this is not something that you just developed. The instant change method has been around. You work with it.
Yes, it's been around since 2019.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Wow. Yeah. I don't know why this has not been on my radar. And I have been, again, studying energy work. And I started studying that 2009 around there and just kind of dipped my toe in the water and then circled back to it about a year ago. And then same thing with hypnosis. And, I was always skeptical about hypnosis, which the instant change method also embraces. But even just that 1 hour or so session that I had with a hypnotist virtually on a Zoom video, that was life changing and to a point. But
Right.
I can't even imagine this when you combine the other two, where you could go with that.
Yes. And I actually do all my sessions through Zoom, and that's just as effective as well. So
Mhm.
that's something people could do from the comfort of their home. It's something
Right.
that's really accessible. And I find that people, when they're more comfortable, that they don't have to get used to their environment, that actually is more effective. That actually working through Zoom is the most effective because they're comfortable where they're at,
Right.
and they know what they want, and they just go for it. I mean, that's just make it happen. Just do it.
So when we talk about that, and this is what I'm thinking that people are going to be thinking. I know the answer through hypnosis. Um, are you getting into somebody's subconscious mind? Are you able to, are you tapping into, are they fully in control when you're doing a session?
They will know what's happened, and they're fully in control. If they need that something happens, they need to take care of. They're fully in control. They will be aware of that. Now, the thing is, before we go through the actual session, I actually talk about those 3 to 5 sentences that they want, and we actually go over that to find out the exact information that they want. And then I also have programs that amplify that. So it's not going to be something unknown to them. They're going to know this because we've already discussed this. Because when you work with somebody with your own subconscious mind, your own language is the most important thing. So we have the inner voice. You want to have the words like, and I would actually take over, like say that I am Chris, or I am Stephen. I would actually say it in their actual language, so there will be something very familiar. So their whole being will accept it. It will not reject it. So yes, they will know exactly what's going on. They won't be made to bark like a dog, nothing like that. They're in total control.
Right, right, yeah. That's why I brought that up because so many people have that view of hypnosis, and it's so not true. You
Yes.
can't do something that you don't want to do. Michael's not going to get your social security number, your credit card. That's not going to happen. I'm fascinated in the aspect that it's almost like you take new information, put it in, and you purge out the old information that's unwanted. How is that being done? Is that even something that you can explain?
Yes, actually, I can explain it. It's through energy, because all information has an energetic component to that. So when you amplify that energy and emotion, and you actually work through your entire being, like you work through your energy body into your mind, you synchronize the mind, work down. So it's going through your whole being with that emotion. And that's what makes it so instantaneous. Because you can say affirmations to your blue in the face, but if you don't believe them, they're not going to work. And you have to have that energy. You have to have that want, as you described. You have to have that. And once you have that, the old information has to go because that energy and emotion just comes through your whole being. And you actually tap into source, or I am, God, whatever anybody's comfortable with. And that makes the change so, it just happens. It's, yes, that's
Amazing. Yeah. So I'm just trying to get my arms around how this all works. So when you do the sessions, why is every session different? Are you doing, for example, hypnosis in one, energy work in another?
No, actually, every session is probably not that different. We might tweak a little bit of information, but the actual process is exactly the same. And there's also programs that I work with. I have about 125 programs. And I intuitively figure out what program is going to work. When I say program, don't be off put by that. That's something I would say, like, make sure you tap into your self-awareness, you tap into your self-love, things like that. That's what I call a program. And that actually works and amplifies everything else. And I usually work with about 20 to 30 programs and figure out what works for that person based upon our conversation. So every session, the actual process will be very similar, but we'll tweak a little bit of the programs. And how it works is that's why you do 3 sessions, because in the first session, 60% of it is integrated to your being. And then the second session, 80% is integrated. And then the third session, you have 100% integration. After the first session, you will notice some changes, and you actually notice like a depletion. And I don't want the people to be off put by this, because you're actually getting rid of that old information and energy. So you will feel a little bit of a depletion, but then the new information and energy will take that over. And that's why actually I do the process very quickly. I do the first session the first day. On the second day, I do the second session. And on the fourth day, I do the third session. Because you need to have that gap between the second and fourth session to have the integration, but you actually get fully integrated after the 3 sessions. So
Give me that again. I want to make sure I heard that clearly. So when you do the consecutive sessions, they're a day apart. Did I hear that right?
yes, you have on the first day you do a session. On the second day you do another session. Then you do skip the third day and then work on the fourth day. But that gap between the second and fourth day allows that integration to come through.
Wow. Give us some examples, Michael. And by the way, we're talking with Michael Danielson, who is the man behind the change method. He's a change method therapist, and you can check it out. Go to the website because you have a video up there and lots of other details at icmrightnow.com. Give some examples of what you can do to help people. Like we talked about anxiety, and that's so prevalent nowadays more than ever. So that's a big one there. But what are some of the other things? Can you help somebody, lose weight, stop smoking? What are some of the others?
Absolutely. Actually, both of those, I can help with that, stop smoking and the weight loss, because actually I do integrate a little bit of my hypnosis with that as well. So my instant change is a little bit tweaked with that as well. And I can help people say if they want to do a business, but they have a limiting belief. What holds people back in life? They think it's this, they think it's that, but it's really a limiting belief that's holding them back. So once we eliminate that and put in that confidence that they have, basically confidence comes from comfort, but to answer your question is you can pretty much work with anything. You can work with physical problems, you can work with mental problems, emotional, and the crazy thing, it actually even works on pets.
Wow. Well, I do know you can do energy healing on pets. You can do chakras. You can do energy balancing. So I don't know so much about hypnosis, but wow. I'm going to press pause here on that. I want to go back to the pet thing. How do you do those 3 sessions on pets?
Well, you'd actually you would take it and like how the process works is you would say like you put the information in and then you would actually go through the whole system and you basically would just do that for them. I mean, obviously the animal wouldn't know what's going on, but it actually goes through their whole system. You would do it just like a regular session that you would. And actually, I have 3 cats myself, and I have done these processes on them, and it actually has helped them a lot. And so, yeah, that's really, you would just actually do the process for them.
Is this at all similar to NLP, which is neuro linguistics programming? And that's a way of presenting something to somebody to get them to react to it. It's used in marketing, but it's also used in a type of meditation as well.
It is to a degree, not to the extent that actually NLP does it, but you do actually amplify the tone of the voice and do certain things like that as well. But it's not full-blown NLP, but it does integrate that as well, yes.
Interesting. And it's basically, from my understanding, very brief understanding, is the NLP is almost the way you phrase things, the way you say things, or say them to yourselves.
Absolutely. And that is so vital, the way that we speak to ourselves, because we're always programming. Either we're programming ourselves or somebody's programming us. Society is, TV, media, whatever. So it's very important to program yourself. I know that might sound like negative when I say that, but really you're just putting the information energy that you want. So to make your life go forward, you pretty much have to program yourself so that you don't get programmed by society, media, things like that, which is, as you're aware, very negative.
Yeah, and that life is negative. We're programmed to be negative from the point where a toddler. You think about a toddler goes, a 2-year-old is walking up to the kitchen table for the first time and just grabbing something. Oh, look at this, a salt shaker. Hey, put that back. Don't touch that. There's a negative moment right there. So that's it. That's in our lives. Can you, Michael? Can you give us some advice? Let's say we're not doing the sessions yet, but just to help people out in terms of reprogramming their minds, or call it affirmations. Any kind of advice you can give somebody on a basic level?
Absolutely. And it's going to sound a little counterintuitive when I say this, because our mind really wants us to be two things: to be happy and also to survive. So I would actually, when you would actually do an affirmation or say something to yourself, and make sure you have that energetic component, and make sure that you're really want to have that happen, but actually say you don't want it, because that'll actually go into your system quicker. Say, I don't want to lose weight, because your subconscious mind will grab onto that negative and it'll say, I want to lose weight, because it cannot process the negative. It sounds so counterintuitive, but say don't. Yeah, it doesn't. You would think.
That's, going back to the NLP, that's one of the principles of it. Like, for example, to catch somebody's attention in marketing, stop. Don't buy a car now until you see ours. So
what are you going to think about buying a car?
Exactly right. Yeah. Oh, interesting. It's almost like you're rewiring, you're reprogramming the computer up here.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So
have you ever encountered, Michael, a situation where you did 3 sessions and you didn't get results? And follow-up question of that: how do you know you got results?
Well, I follow up with the client just to check to see how things are going. And I always ask, that's very important, because I always give support afterwards. I don't want to just leave you out there. I mean, once we do there, so if that, for whatever reason, didn't work, I have not had that situation. But if I did, I would actually tap into my hypnosis, things like that as well. I would never leave somebody. I always follow up with my clients. And that's very important. They call it the therapeutic alliance. It's very important for the therapist and the client to work together. But thankfully, with the instant change, I haven't had that issue. But if I ever did, I would not leave the person up to their devices. That's to me, that's wrong. That's
Right.
one thing that got into this, because that really bugged me. Because I always find, like, in traditional healthcare, there's no profit in the cure. They just want to keep you on the medication, keep you doing this, and I think that's just so wrong. Someone's coming to you to help, and they're in a negative state. Just work with them. But so yeah, that's what. If I ever have that situation, I would not leave the person just hanging there.
How did this all begin for you?
Well, actually, when I was younger, I was actually interested in psychotherapy. And actually, growing up, I would always try to, I didn't know what I was doing, but my family would arguing, and I'd try to get in the middle and be like, well, see this person's perspective, see this person's perspective. I always studied that. And I kind of put it in the back burner. I've always studied it as a hobby. And then I got really serious about it about a year and a half ago. And actually, doing some research, I found out for most things, hypnotherapy is actually more effective. It actually has a 93% success rate in certain things. There's certain things it can't work with, but like stop smoking, anxiety, things like that, that hypnotherapy is actually better. And I said, wow, really? And then so I actually looked up hypnotherapy schools, and I found the best one is called HMI College of Hypnotherapy. It's out of California. So I actually got trained into that. And I'm always looking for the newest, fastest, most effective method, because I'm all about results. Because if you come to therapists, you don't want to talk about your past. You don't want to talk about that garbage. You want results. So, and then I was working with that, and then I heard about the instant change method, and I was like, wow. I'm going to look into this. And it actually took me a year before they actually got cycled into there because it's actually, like I said, they're out of Germany. So they don't actually have too many English training sessions. I was actually lucky to get into one. And that got me into that. But my whole life goal is, I heard the Buddha saying life is suffering. I was like, okay, life is suffering, but there's got to be a solution to that. That can't be just the final answer, life suffering. There's a way out of that. So that's really why I got into this, because I actually went through personally a lot of pain and suffering like that. And I worked myself through that. And I said, I want to help people not to be in that same situation if I can help them. So,
With your situation personally, would you say you're healed? Or it's always, I didn't even know if that's possible to be fully healed, or there's little pieces every once in a while. Where would you put that? I'm curious because I'm working on it.
Sure. I don't think we can ever be 100% healed. I think we can get where we want certain things and we can be functional with that because there's a natural born anxiety in the system. It's just there for survival. But I would say my anxiety level used to be, I had severe social anxiety. Like I couldn't look at you. I'd be like this, kind of like the guy I told you about. So I'd say it's probably about a 10% for the most time. That's where I function at. And I think that's a goal you could actually reach for. If someone can say they can reduce your anxiety 100%, there's no way. That's their run. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Because like to your point, we're wired that way. We're anxious to survive. We're built to survive. And if you're not anxious and you don't worry about something, you'd have a problem. Like, all right, I'm driving my car. There's a car coming at me. Am I going to worry about it? No. Yes, you are. I'm going to get anxious. I got a problem. I got to take evasive action to make sure the car doesn't hit my car. Yeah. We have instant feedback. You can reach us, instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. This is from Victoria, Bridgeport, Connecticut. She says, I've had addiction issues in the past. I've beat a lot of them, but sometimes they keep creeping up. Can you help with that?
Absolutely. Yes, because probably what you were happening is you were working in one area of your being. Like I said, the instant change method works in all areas of your being. It works in your energy body, your mind, and the individual cells of your body. And when I say individual cells, like I'd be your nose cell knows it's a nose cell to be a nose cell. So because when you work at a whole being, that you integrate that change, you get rid of that old stuff and you integrate it with the new. So absolutely, yes.
So going back to when I had a hypnotherapy session about 3 weeks ago, I went back to my childhood. I knew where I wanted to go. I know where my challenges are based on that. Some people don't know that. I've connected the dots. I'm pretty sure I got it. Okay. How do you know if you're healed, cured, whatever word you want to put toward it? I feel a sense of calm. I feel better since I had the session, and things are better. But how do you know? How do you know you're there?
Yeah. Well, with the instant change method, thankfully, you will feel an immediate change. I mean, you won't be 100% ingredient, but you will see that, like I said, you will feel that depletion process because you're getting rid of the old information, which isn't horrible. You're not going to be like zoned out or anything like that, but right. You will know because you will actually feel that change. And I guarantee you in your instant change session, you're going to know there's a change. There's no doubt in my mind. I've never had a client say they do not. You will know immediately. And because you actually feel that energetic, you'll feel that. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then you'll know in your daily life. You'll know. Usually, I would say to actually have 100% integration. After the third session, you'll be completely there. But within about a week, 7 to 10 days, is when it's 100% integrating your whole being, and you will know. I mean, there is no doubt. But you'll know between the sessions. But to know it there, I've never had anybody say they don't know. And I've done it myself, and believe me, you know.
Okay. When you're doing the sessions, what are you feeling? Like, I had a Reiki session. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to share this. A virtual Reiki session about 2 weeks ago. And I wondered if it could have been done. How's it going to work? Didn't even have a conversation. It was a text. It's going to start at about 8:00. I did feel different things within my body. And I tried to say, am I really feeling them? Or is it my mind saying, you're having a session? I really do think I was feeling it. But during the instant change method, do you feel something?
Yes. And I would say 90% of the time you do. There are some rare exceptions that you don't, but you still will feel the depletion because it's working through there. But yes, and the best way I can describe it for most people, you would actually feel, because you actually feel the energy. You connect to source and also to mother down below, and you would actually feel that energy as it's going through you. You would just feel a surge of energy. Some people will feel like a heat sensation, but you will actually feel the process as it's going through your whole being. And actually integrate it through your whole being. As it's going through there, you will feel that energy moving through there. You will sometimes feel waves of energy. And I don't want to scare some people, but you'll feel the heat because it's a lot of energy coming through your system. And you actually feel that as it's processing. Actually, I guide the energy down through your system. You will feel it. And like I said, 90% of people, yeah.
If we were doing that right now, would we be doing what we're doing right now? Would you be talking to me? Are my eyes going to be closed? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So actually how the session would work is that it's best when you would actually, after we go through the pre-talk and figure out how you actually want it, the information, you would actually stand up. And a lot of times people get nervous because this is something new. So I asked them to take 3 deep breaths throughout your whole being, and then they actually close their eyes. And how the process actually works is, I would say, imagine above your head, there's a giant ball of light and energy. And into that ball of light and energy, we will put in that information that we talked about the 3 to 5 questions. And then I would actually guide that through your whole system, amplify it, add some information, so add some tweaks, add some programs, and you would actually feel that whole process going through you. And it actually works through your whole being. And then I'd actually integrate it going back up through your whole system so it works through your whole being. So it's a whole process. And then you let the process actually just integrate through your whole system at your own pace. So actually, when you're done going through the session, I say, when you're ready, you come back. You actually let the whole information just go through your whole system. And it's, because sometimes people have it just works through your system after I'm done talking, going through it for 5 to 10 minutes because it's still working. And the process does not stop when the session stops. Like people go into hypnotherapy and some say when the session stops, it does not. It continues to work.
Wow. Fascinating. We're just about out of time. Tell everybody your website again and how it works. I know there's a button on your website. You can click register now with a webinar. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. It's icmrightnow.com, RIGHT.com. And you actually, on a loading page that comes there, you can actually click on a link and it'll take you to a webinar. And that's actually by Daniel Weinstock, the gentleman that created the Instant Change Method. And I also have a link there where you can schedule time with me, where you can actually receive a free 30-minute session. And I'll actually take you through the process so that you know it works. There's no question about it. And then from there, if you want to do further sessions, you can. But that would actually show you so you actually not just talk about it. Because I think it's very important not to just talk about it, to actually do it. I want to take you through the process.
Amazing. I can't wait to talk again next time because I really want to. And even if we can do just an example of what a session would be like when we're here doing the podcast, either on camera or if somebody's listening. Yeah. Amazing. Michael Danielson, I'm blown away here. It's amazing that these things all combine together, but it makes perfect sense. People do energy healing. It's been going on for centuries. Hypnotherapy for a long, meditation for centuries. Why not combine all of them and heal, right?
Yes. Transform. Heal and transform.
Heal and transform. Yeah, we are transforming. And I love the fact that we're purging out the info you don't want up there and then bringing the good stuff in. ICMrightnow.com. Michael, great talking with you. I look forward to getting together soon.
You as well. Thank you, Stephen.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.